Welcome to Quick Review Thursday. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I have an awesome special guest here. How are you doing? Do you want to be Seb or Sebastian?
You know what? We've known each other a bit. You can call me Seb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Seb's good.
Just I call you Seb all the time anyway, but you're like
Yeah.
your thing on there says Sebastian. So I'm like, oh, I don't know, which one did you want to be called?
That's my professional name. So
Does anybody on set ever call you that? Like, hey, what's up, Sebastian?
no.
No.
The peasants call me that.
Oh, okay. Because the people that lower people.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're here to talk about the 2005 Asylum film Frankenstein Reborn, which we were talking earlier. We're pretty sure they were trying to make a monster universe, thing going, right?
Yeah, it felt like prior to doing like the mockbuster stuff, the Asylum was kind of cribbing from public domain stuff because they did a Frankenstein film and they did a Dracula film and they did a werewolf movie as well.
Yeah,
and they're all from the same director, all from Lee Scott as well. So
yeah, which is fun. It's fun because I read some review of it and they were talking about how all of them have the same cast too, right? Which is a little bit different of what you would choose to do, right? Like you would usually try to choose to do different ones so that maybe they can have all of them like verse each other, Frankenstein versus the Beast of Bray Road versus Dracula,
yeah, it kind of reminded me it's a bit more like the Hammer thing where you have Peter Cushing as Van Helsing and as Dr. Frankenstein and stuff like that.
Oh, actually, that's a good. Wow, maybe that's where Lee Scott got the idea. And Lee. So I'll just preface this by saying I saw Beast of Bray Road before I saw this recently. So again, because I've seen these movies like probably a lot of times, and but it's been a while, and I think it's been a while for you too. You said like 10 years,
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's been a long time.
right. So like the first when I always had remembered that Beast of Bray Road was like my favorite because it was like literally the first one I saw. Then I had to go rush out to Blockbuster and get Frankenstein Reborn, which I knew was out at the time, and watch that one. And it's really different. I feel like Frankenstein is way darker. And I feel like so Frankenstein is darker and Beast of Bray Road has a lot more comedy to it. But it has a lot of the same cast, right?
Yeah, I mean, they even have the same actor playing the monster in both movies. Joel Heberman, is that his name?
You're right, but I think it's like Joel Heber or
Heberd. It's something like that.
Yeah.
But regardless, he plays the Frankenstein monster in this, and he's the werewolf in Beast of Bray Road.
Yeah, Joel Ezra Hebner. And he was, and you know what? He was the monster in Beast of Bray Road, but I think he also had a small part as one of the characters, or something. And he does the same thing here because obviously he plays the main guy, well, the guy who becomes the creature, and everything. So, and I actually thought that was pretty neat how they did it. Like they try to keep it as and you're a big Frankenstein lover, so how you've read the book too, right? Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. How close to the book were they without being like it's too close?
It's kind of weird because like right off the bat it's a modern day adaptation. It's not like 1800s or whatever, so the setting's been updated, but this does what a lot of adaptations don't, in the sense that it maintains the structure of the novel. In the novel, Frankenstein's telling the story to a guy named Walton, who's a ship captain in the book. In this one, he's Frankenstein's psychologist, who's been his like court-appointed doctor or something like that. And it's kind of interesting how they go about doing it because they keep that structure and then kind of veer off in their own direction. Plot-wise, it's not very similar. In the novel, Frankenstein is a young medical student. In this one, he's like a middle-aged drug addicted sexual deviant who is messing with nanotechnology.
Nanotechnology, yeah. All that stuff was a little like, I was like, what in the world is going on? They put a lot of stuff into it, especially like with the idea that he was like focusing on his thoughts and stuff. Like he had his same thoughts and everything.
Yeah, that was like, it was all cool ideas, like the idea that Frankenstein put his brain into a computer and it's manipulating the monster's thoughts and all that, but it felt like there was too much. And on top of that, they tried to do a traditional Frankenstein monster. So it just
Mm-hmm.
felt, and the movie's only 80 minutes long, so it feels really packed with info.
Right. And they said like the little girl said he was 7 feet tall, and I was like, he didn't look that tall. Like, he's 6'5". I mean, he's tall, but he's like, I was like, yeah, that sounded like, and kids exaggerate. And I think that was like the point of what the cops were saying, at one point, like they're unreliable witnesses, and he's like, they're your only witness. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. I thought it was a cute version, but like I said, it was a little darker. And the only comedy that I got from this movie was a line from Matt Kaczynski. The only one that made me laugh was Matt Kaczynski plays the lawyer. It was like, as you're a lawyer, I advise you against this.
Yeah, that got a good chuckle out of me too.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. But like most of the time it was like serious. It was like deadly serious. And I felt like, I don't know which one came first. I don't know if I think Beast of Bray Road came first. And if that's true, then they pretty much they were just trying to do something different than Beast of Bray Road.
And I also think like the story of Frankenstein just kind of calls for a darker take. It's a story that's filled with a lot of, it's a, for lack of a better word, it's a very angsty story. It's got a
Right.
lot of anger in it, so it makes sense that he'd go darker for this one in particular.
Exactly. But once again, I enjoyed all the people that surrounded the film, the people that did crew work, everybody seemed to like, it seemed to be fun. And I don't, did you watch the DVD or did you watch it on like Tubi or anything?
I watched it on DVD, and the DVD's got a pretty cool little making of, which is a lot of fun to watch.
They also, don't they have a commentary track on that one, if I remember correctly?
They do, yeah.
And I think the commentary tracks back then used to be really fun because they would like all get drunk and just
Mhm.
like make fun of the movie. And I had remembered on Beast of Bray Road commentary, I guess they were like, maybe they were shooting both of them back to back or something, or like shot both of them like at the same time or around it, because Justin Jones, the first AD on the Beast of Bray Road commentary, would go, Frankenstein Reborn, and it had nothing to do with the movie. It was just like, kind of joking on it. And I always remember that, thinking that was funny. And I think that was one of the reasons I wanted to check out Frankenstein Reborn, is I wanted to see what they were talking about, here. Um, but
Speaking of the, oh, sorry, didn't
you
mean to
know,
cut
go
you.
ahead, go ahead.
Speaking of the crew, one of the most pleasant surprises upon my rewatch of it was seeing that it was edited by Stephen C. Miller, who went on to be a very prolific B movie director in his own right, and who's still working to this day.
We had noticed when we had done a review of Beast of Bray Road, which won't come out till like till like October, that Stephen C. Miller was in Beast of Bray Road as well. He was actually in it,
Oh,
and
wow.
he has a line about what's scary? Zombies are scary. And it was so funny because he actually ended up making a zombie movie, years later, but I'm guessing he had zombies on the brain before then,
Yeah.
but he was great. And yeah, he edited the films in the Asylum stuff back in the day. And I guess that was his like film school, and
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that was what this was for a lot of people in the beginning. The Asylum kind of brought a lot of people into the fold,
Well, the weird thing with the Asylum is that they started off as a company that was supposed to like produce indie content that other studios wouldn't touch. Their first major movie was Stuart Gordon's King of the Ants.
Mhm.
They wanted to be like a really kind of edgy, real studio. And I feel like Frankenstein Reborn and Beast of Bray Road is, and they're like, maybe we'll dip into the B movie stuff. And then I think when they did War of the Worlds, that's when they fell into the mockbusters permanently.
Right, yeah, because that was, yeah, technically, I think, yeah, War of the Worlds was their first mockbuster. Then they did like King of the Lost World, and
And
all those.
those are like weird middle ground movies too, because War of the Worlds and King of the Lost World, they were both based on public domain stories still. But
Mhm.
yeah, they were definitely made with the goal to like trick people into buying them.
Exactly. And so like I fell in love with the Asylum early on, when I first I think it was like 2006, right when I was starting my original podcast that I started. I started watching these films and I was like, these are just amazing and fun. They're low budget, I don't know how low, but they were pretty low budget. I mean, they were all of them were like, it felt like they were all friends getting together making movies. And if you notice, like I said, that like a lot of the same cast, so like Jeff Denton's in there, but like a lot of them are like different. Like Eliza Swenson didn't have a huge role in Beast of Bray Road, but she played Elizabeth in this one. A lot of these actors kind of went on to do other Asylum, or at least Lee Scott films, and some Asylum films.
Was Rhett Giles in Beast of Bray Road?
No, but okay. Thomas Downey was, Sarah Living, or Leaving. I'm not sure. I guess it's Leaving. And like everybody else pretty much except for Rhett Giles, which I guess they just didn't have a place for him, or if it was the first one, he came in, on Frankenstein Reborn would be my guess. But they did Dracula's Curse after this. And I honestly, out of all the three of them, Beast of Bray Road is my favorite. This is second, and Dracula's Curse is third, because it's just, I feel like that movie has way too much going on. And
I remember it being like weirdly long too. Isn't it like an hour and 50 minutes or something like that?
I think so. Which
crazy.
Which most of their movies are about an hour and 30. And that's kind of, I feel like that is, you're a person who likes more shorter movies anyway, right? In general, like you want, if it's a B movie, you don't want it to be like above an hour and 30 minutes. Cause I mean, like after a while, I feel like it gets kind of boring, like you have to put filler in there to make it get that long, or something. So
I thought Frankenstein Reborn was it's about 84 minutes, and I think that was like a good runtime. Like I said, they did overstuff it, but I think that was more an issue with the script than with the directing or anything like that, because it is a very well-paced movie. It moves at a pretty fast clip.
Definitely. I really enjoyed just the death scenes were great in the film. Like there were some really cool death scenes, the blood, and I mean, some of the things are kind of telegraphed nowadays, like you would see some of the stuff, but back then I wasn't expecting, like, I remember when I first watched it, I wasn't expecting the Frankenstein to be in the car, or whatever. But now I like looked at that going, okay, so she leaves the car. When she comes back, there's going to be he's going to be in the back seat, because that's kind of common now, more so than it was back then. So maybe Lee Scott was a trendsetter. I don't know.
You never know. And I want to also take a moment to highlight how good the monster's makeup is in this movie.
Oh,
it's
definitely
awesome.
So you enjoyed that?
Oh, I loved it. It's not what you'd normally expect. It's kind of close to the book, because in the book he's described as like a corpse with long black hair, and they give him that. Most versions don't in this, but he looks very rotted, very decayed, and it's not really explained why he looks like that, considering the fact that he's still a fresh corpse when they bring him back. But I don't mind. He looks cool, so that's all that matters.
Right. Like after a while, you just kind of forgive. Like you're just.
It's a monster movie. He's got to look like a monster. So.
Right. I mean, I kind of wish that they had done something, because it didn't look like Victor did a lot to him. Other than when he killed him and everything. So, but that was cool. I enjoyed, I enjoyed a lot of the stuff with him and Rhett Giles and Jeff Denton's character and Hank. I guess Franks and Hank. I enjoyed both of them.
Hank Clerval, which is a play off of Henry Clerval, which was Frankenstein's best friend in the novel.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, all these things, and you're like, I mean, that must be so much fun for you to like pick up all these like little things. The one thing I do know is that Lee Scott had a company called Blackthorn Industries that he did, and I don't know if he I know he put it in a lot of his earlier works and stuff, but then I think he actually created, if I'm correct, and Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, if I, or whatever, but I think he created the Blackthorn Industries as a production company as well at one point. So he was doing, indie films like with that label, which, kind of works because that's, that becomes like a constant thing in his films is, look for Blackthorn Industries, or whatever.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, see, all the stuff about the Frankenstein stuff that I'm just like, whoa, okay, I didn't know that. But I know a lot of stuff about the Lee Scott films because I've seen all of the Asylum ones, including Transmorphers, which I don't blame Lee at all. I blame the editing. Something got messed up in that movie, and I can't even watch it.
So weirdly, I hate this segue, but Transmorphers is kind of a weirdly dull movie. But the one thing I'll give it is I love the fact that they couldn't cast a male lead, so they cast a girl instead, and they didn't do any changes to the script.
So it sounds male.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so awesome.
I love when that happens. Because I mean. That happened with was it a movie with Sigourney Weaver? She was in a movie where it was supposed to be a dude, and then, she took the role and she said every line just like it was a guy, and it sounded perfect. So there you go. I mean, some people can pull it off. But yeah, to go back to Frankenstein Reborn, or as they call it, Frankenstein Reborn.
Reborn.
Yeah. It was fun. Like, it was an enjoyable movie. Like, I don't know if I would, like, if I ever rated this movie, would I rate it high or low, or whatever? I think it would be in the middle. It's a fun movie. It has, maybe a few flaws to it. Like you said, the creature thing looked great, but it didn't seem, like that would have been what it was. I feel like there was a lot in the psychologist, stuff talking, which, is budget. They don't have a huge enough budget to keep having all these kills. Plus, all the kills have to be like people he knows, or whatever. Is like, I guess that was what it was. Like, he knows all these people in there, or whatever. And so all of a sudden, and now he's going after him.
It kind of felt like they were trying to do a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde thing with the monster representing Frankenstein, or Frank. He's just Frank in this version, but Frank's hatred towards the people in his life. So it's like the monster represents all of his own anger, lashing out at them.
Well, there was one point I hadn't seen it in so long, I forgot. So at one point there was at the end where he's he's got the girl and he's like looking like he's gonna kill or whatever. And I'm like thinking, was there ever really an actual monster? Was he the monster? Like, it had that, like, it has that trick of like, could possibly be the actual killer, and we're just like listening to his story. However, I'm glad they really didn't go that route because I mean, it is sort of overplayed, and I really want the monster to be alive,
Yeah.
Also, like the ending where they kind of set it up where it could have been Bride
of Frankenstein Reborn.
So sad they didn't make that. Like, damn, right?
Eliza, what's her name? Eliza Swenson? Is that her name? Eliza Swenson. She's got this like amazing facial structure, and with the right makeup, she'd make such a damn good monster. It's a shame they didn't do it.
Right? I thought they would. I mean, after watching it now, I'm like, oh man, they just missed the, and maybe I don't know if it did well enough or if they just decided, because if you think about it, they really didn't do many sequels, No. I don't think they ever did, like, except for like newer stuff like the the Avengers things that they're doing, like where they're all kind of doing spin-offs.
Sharknado obviously has
Jesus. Yeah, Sharknado has a million sequels.
War of the Worlds had a sequel.
Oh my god, it did, didn't it?
Yeah. And so did Transmorphers.
Yeah, but I try to forget about that. It just wasn't like, it was like Rise of the Fallen Man or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I never saw it.
It was just terrible. I didn't see it either. I saw previews and I was like, I'm done. Like I didn't need. I watched the first one or all the way through. I'm done.
Mhm.
Don't need to watch the sequel of that one. But yeah, it was pretty. I mean, yeah, they don't really do that many sequels, but they did do some. So it could have happened if they had wanted to do Bride of Frankenstein Reborn.
No,
But they go ahead.
yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say they really missed the boat. But I should say that like, did Lee Scott also write the script?
Yeah, yeah, he's the writer.
He should take pride in the fact that he made a modern day set Frankenstein movie 10 years prior to that becoming kind of a trend, because in the last 5 years we've had a bunch of them.
Exactly.
We
But
had
yeah, beforehand it was just him, I guess.
yeah, just him, and then like 10 years later there was a Bernard Rose. He did a version with Carrie Ann Moss and Tony Todd. Larry Fessenden did a version with Joshua Leonard. So it's like modern Frankenstein is a big thing now, and I feel like if Lee Scott had made this film today, it probably would have gotten more attention than it did at the time.
Yeah, maybe. You might be right about that. Because I wonder what, like, I wonder about that. Like, if he had done it, yeah, because nowadays, if he had done it nowadays, it kind of would have fallen, in the wayside of other films that, have kind of taken over on it. But at least this time, people are looking at it going, wow, this is a fresh new take on
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Some people probably enjoy it. Some people, aren't all that into it. I mean, what did you take away from it? Did you really enjoy it?
Yeah, it's like an enjoyable effort. It's not without its flaws. I think like maybe the script needed another pass. There are some sound issues I noticed, and I couldn't tell if it was the DVD or if it was just a bad sound mix in general. But beyond that, I was like, it's a low budget but ambitious film, and I think that it should be applauded for clearly being made by people who knew the story and who liked the story and wanted to do something different with it. Well,
Right.
while still trying to be its own thing.
Exactly. I agree with that. Yeah, it was ambitious for sure. And I really tried to make something like so much, bigger and grander than what it was. But I like that, like that to me is freaking cool. I had a blast with it. So yeah. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about it?
Um, no, but I will say that if people listening are fans of Frankenstein, be prepared because I have a film coming out called The Abominations of Frankenstein at the end of this year. So
That is
look up.
why I picked you, buddy. I know how big of a fan you are, and I know and that's the thing. Like when you make something like Frankenstein, like you do your own version or whatever, you want to watch all. I had a friend who was making a big monster movie, so that had all the different monsters, right? So he started watching all of them, as many as he could possibly do before he started doing that. And I thought that was actually a really good plan because I mean, I don't think he's stealing anything. That's not the plan. The plan is
No.
to look over and see what's been done and what he can do different and like what people liked, what people didn't like, and he had discussions on Facebook about it on like live, talking to people and everything. I think that is a neat thing. So this was basically a little bit more research for you, even though like I think you've already written it and everything. So
Oh, we
yeah.
actually just received the final cut an hour
Uh,
before we got on the call.
Wow. So when you're done with this, you're going to be going right into that, looking into
Yeah.
that, right? That's awesome. I'm excited for you, dude. Well, I will, because this comes out, I think in like June, maybe or so.
We're planning to ship out the Kickstarter DVDs in June,
Well,
and
no,
then
I'm
I'm
saying
hope.
this podcast
Oh,
right here, this
this
episode.
episode. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So by then, hopefully, will you have like a bunch of stuff ready for it by then?
Oh yeah, yeah. We already have a trailer out, so people can check that out at any point. And who knows? Maybe by June I'll have struck gold with somebody, and we'll have a distributor locked.
That would be awesome. If so, we'll put a link to where people can potentially buy it or whatever for it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everybody, thank you guys so much. Join us every second and fourth Thursday. So thank you guys. Have a good one. Bye.